Morning, everybody, or good afternoon. I'm not really sure what time of the day it is or when they're going to show this. So I hope everybody in retirement living, personal care, and the healthcare center is doing okay today. Obviously, we can't meet for church. It's going to be a while before we can do that, but at least thanks to the technology that we have today, we can get together like this for at least some time of worship and reflection. I'm not going to do a sermon like I normally do, where I read a scripture passage and then talk about it. Given that this virus is global in nature, what I wanted to do was kind of look at all the faith traditions to see what they might have to offer us today and what kind of words of encouragement they might give. Most of us probably saw the news conference last week, when they started the kind of shelter-in-place recommendations. The virus, as we know, is spread to all 50 states. It's here in PA. It's in Allegheny County. We've had several deaths already, and as of Tuesday morning, Allegheny County is kind of on a lockdown. As you know, we've shut down parts of the campus. Personal care and the healthcare center are closed to non-essential personnel. We're taking temps on everybody. You're eating in your rooms. There's no activities, no fitness stuff. And we're just wiping down everything as much as we can. Most people have been complying with the recommendations and doing what they've needed to do. Others, as we know, have not. When I've been out and about at the stores, people aren't following the 6 feet rule. They're clustered together in groups. It's kind of unnerving. Most people are going with the flow, trying to adjust to life at home. Kids have been doing their school plays on YouTube. I know in one neighborhood people come out at night with their instruments and play as a way to say goodnight to each other. And then, as we know, other folks have just been working tirelessly, like the CDC, the people, the doctors, nurses, all the healthcare providers, even the alcohol companies are working overtime, producing hand sanitizer. As far as what it's like outside, it's different, very different. It's much more quiet. There's fewer cars. The stores are bare of some items. You go in and the shelves are just completely empty. And if you want to get anything of significance, you have to go to a couple different places. And there's an uneasy feeling, almost as if we're all kind of waiting for something to happen. But at the same time, it's kind of peaceful. It reminds me of when I was a kid, when there were fewer cars, no restaurants to go out to eat to. It reminds me of the days when we spent more time talking to one another and being together than we did working and running around like lunatics. None of us could have imagined the situation that we're in today 6 weeks ago. If they would have told us that we would shelter in place, we would have told them that they were nuts. So this virus, while it's caused us to sacrifice a lot, it's also affording us the opportunity to kind of slow down and take some time to reevaluate things and look at things, especially our lives, in light of the fact that this virus is going to be here for a while, and we're living in a completely different world than we were before. I think one of the blatant realizations that come out of this is what each of us do as individuals can have a profound effect on the people around us. I've always kind of chuckled when people have said, well, I can live my life the way that I want to, and it doesn't affect anybody else, and that's a delusion that people tell themselves. I think this virus proves the point that what you do can have a profound effect on somebody else in terrible and life-threatening ways. As you know, we closed off the healthcare center, and it's been very difficult for us not to have families be able to come in and visit their family members, but we just have to keep everybody safe. Most everybody's complied with that, but last week we had a situation where somebody tried to climb in a window at night to visit their family. Some people just don't get it. This is a new day and a new time, and your behavior can lead to somebody else's death. The CDC said that if 10 to 15% of the people don't comply with the recommendations for safe distance, it can ruin it for the rest of us. So we really need to rethink this whole notion of individualism and what that means to us now that we're living in a completely different kind of community. Another thing that's come out of this is when we do have the ability to come together as a human population to solve a problem. When you think about how many different disciplines are involved in this, science and medicine, business and industry, stores and restaurants, millions and millions of people are focused on one thing right now, and that's dealing with this virus and keeping people alive. So if you translate that into spiritual energy, that's immense. You think about all these people that are investing all this energy in compassionate actions. That's pretty amazing. That gives me a lot of hope. This isn't the first time that faith traditions have encountered pandemics. Christianity's kind of had a unique response because of the teachings of Jesus that we're supposed to help one another and particularly sacrifice for one another. They were unique in how they cared for the sick. In the 2nd century, there was a plague and in Rome, and if it hadn't been for the Christians caring, it would have wiped out about a quarter of the population. And then in the 3rd century, there was another plague, and in the Christian communities, the death rate was half of what it was in the other communities. So even though Christianity's had a unique approach, every faith tradition, I think, offers some lessons and teachings about how we should live together in this new world, in a new day and a new time. Obviously, the first teaching that everyone agrees on is, the golden rule, or love thy neighbor and do unto others as you would do to you. It's part of Christianity, but it's really rooted in Judaism. But it's found in all other faiths. And it's just a reminder for us to be especially kind to one another during this time. We're all feeling stressed out and uncertain. We all have things that we have to have. We all need to be safe. And we're all doing the best that we can. We've not encountered this before, so let's not add to the pain by taking out our fears and anxieties on one another. Speaking gently is another shared tradition. The Hopi have a saying that an angry word is like striking with a knife. As much as we love being together in a sequestered situation, after a while we do get on each other's nerves. And now we're stuck together for Lord knows how long. So little irritations get amplified, things get miscommunicated. We know that time together strengthens marriage, but we also know that time apart also keeps them strong too. So it's okay to get away from one another. It's okay to sit there and not talk, just give each other some latitude and space. The other thing to consider is what we're asking of people. I get frustrated with the media because they always like to, they expect perfection out of everyone. They dissect everybody for character flaws, and they expect them to make perfect decisions every time. Nobody can do that, period. We're all broken, we're all doing the best that we can, and we all fall short. There's no one on this planet that's encountered anything like this before, so we have to accept that there's going to be mistakes, incorrect decisions. This isn't something you get right the first time. And the other thing is the media loves certainty. When is this going to end? When's our economy going to be back? Nobody knows that. Nobody can foresee those kinds of things. The only thing we can manage is our fears. And that leads to the next teaching, which is the peace that passes understanding. All faith traditions tell us that there's a peace that we can access that you don't find in this world. And I really believe that, we're going to sacrifice for a while. And this is going to hurt, but the bottom line is, the truth is, I believe all those that have passed on before us are around us now. And that they're helping us through this. And I like to believe the angels are working overtime. So that also gives me a lot of hope, and that gives me a sense of peace when everything else around me tells me that I shouldn't feel that way. The next is the blessing of prayer. I don't care what you pray for, just pray. But if you think about the list of things that we can pray for, it's pretty endless. Researchers, medical people, folks collecting samples, delivering food, folks at home with no visitors, folks that got the virus, doctors, nurses, you name it. Just pick a topic and go to town. And then the last one will be the blessing of charity. And all faith traditions tell us that we should be charitable to one another, especially those that are in need. We're all suffering right now. We're all stressed out, so it's important to help each other out. If you're running short, share, if you have more, share something with your neighbor. Call and check in on each other. Eric asked me to mention that during meal times, when they're delivering meals, if somebody can check the halls, because sometimes people don't hear when they knock on the door. Just make sure that all the food is delivered. Don't bring people in unnecessarily. So charity comes in actions and thoughts, but more so just in our attitude to be kind to one another. Even though it's been a rather stressful week for all of us, with a lot of pretty intense news, there's always moments of humor. There was a story on CBS this week of a town where police were pulling people over, but it wasn't to issue them tickets. It was to give them a roll of toilet paper. So it adds a new twist to the phrase, protect and serve. Huh? All right, I want to share a couple stories, a poem, and then a few announcements, and we'll close with a prayer. The story is about a 16-year-old high school junior named Julia, who's also the class president of her school. And when all this crisis began, she got together with the students and decided to organize a food drive. So she posted a message on what's called Nextdoor, which is a website where neighbors can connect with each other. And she basically posted, "Hi, my name is Julia. I'm a junior at the high school, and we're collecting non-perishable foods for families in need. I know that during the time of school being canceled, many students aren't able to access regular meals without school. 100% of everything donated will go to students and families in need, and I'd be happy to come by and pick up anything that anyone has." Well, so far the community's made 400 donations, and this 16-year-old girl has picked up every one of them. She leaves them in brown paper bags on the porch, handles them with latex gloves. It's all packaged, and it's cleaned with disinfectants. Her and the student government are setting up distribution centers in this city so the families can get what they need. 16-year-old kid gives me a lot of hope. This one's about an Andrea Penn, I think is her name. She's 33-year-old college counselor at a high school. She's salaried, but she's also been blessed to inherit some family wealth. So she posted this message on the Nextdoor website. "Hi neighbor, Hi neighbors, if you will be missing a paycheck or if money is tight for food or supplies, message me and I'll send you $20, no questions asked." She's a member of the Resource Generation, an organization of young people who are committed to equitable distribution of wealth, land, and power. And she said, with the hysteria around the virus, there's an inclination to feel a lot of scarcity, but there's also a way to look at it from a perspective of generosity. when they asked her if she was anything that she wanted to share, she said, yeah. One of the first responses she saw to the pandemic was her wealth advisor reaching out to her about her stock portfolio. And she said that felt off base to me. Rich people shouldn't be worrying about their portfolios at this point. They should be thinking about how they can be in solidarity with the poor and working class, who are at risk of being evicted, are uninsured, can't afford medical care, and can't feed their families. Another impressive young lady. All right. Let me read this poem to you. It was written by Laura Fanucci. She's a columnist who writes for a Catholic newspaper, and these words came to her when she was thinking about her 3-week-old son. And she writes, when this is over, may we never again take for granted a handshake with a stranger, full shelves at the store, conversations with neighbors, a crowded theater, Friday night out, the taste of communion, a routine checkup, a school rush each morning, coffee with a friend, the stadium roaring, each deep breath, a boring Tuesday, life itself. When this ends, may we find that we have become more like the people we wanted to be, we were called to be, and we hope to be. And may we stay that way, better, for each other, because of the worst. All right, just a couple housekeeping items. If anybody needs, I know they're running trips to the store. If anybody needs groceries, I'll be glad to get some for you. If you want to call down to the office, leave a message with one of the girls or get my cell phone number, you can call me here and I'll be glad to get the stuff to you. I'll wipe it down, bring it in. Again, limit your contact with your family. I haven't seen my folks since we were sheltered in place, and they live across the street, so I appreciate how hard that is. And if you can send your offering into the office, that would be greatly appreciated. We don't have expenses this month, but we anticipate that there may be some employee financial needs with this virus going on, so we'd like to put that money in the Employee Disaster Fund. All right. I'll keep you in my prayers. I'll probably be posting some other videos here in the next couple days. Please keep me and the rest of the staff in your prayers as well. And let's close with a prayer. Gracious and loving God, our minds can't begin to grasp your wisdom and creative power. There are things in our world that are completely beyond our understanding. You create such an amazing world of beauty and abundance that sustains all of our lives. Yet in this world exist invisible creatures that, when awakened, threaten to kill us. We are in one of those moments. Grant all those who are working to understand, treat, and prevent this virus your wisdom and knowledge. Grant to all those who are testing people, working in hospitals and in nursing homes, working on ambulances, safety and protection. Grant to all those who are making the difficult leadership decisions regarding the safety and well-being of our nation and the world your strength and resilience. Grant to all those who are working to keep us safe, supplied, and nourished your presence. Grant to all families who are now together your unifying love. Grant to all those who have died from the virus the gift of eternal life. Grant to their grieving families your comfort, and grant to those who suffer from this virus and who will get it your healing. Bless all those working here and their families to keep us safe and cared for, and grant us all in times of anxiousness your peace that this world can't give or take away. Amen. Blessings and peace.